Good. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yeah.
Good afternoon.
August 22nd, meeting of the Public Safety Board.
I'm sorry, folks.
Let's silence our phones.
Yeah.
So I don't get embarrassed again. Anyway, I'd like to call the meeting to order. Pledge allegiance will be led by Mark, and please stand, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
God bless America.
Danielle, will you call a roll, please?
Sure. Captain Rod Malone?
Here.
Chief Shane Ball?
Here.
Captain Jay Christian?
Present.
Michael Greenwald?
Here.
Scotland Rober?
He's deployed.
Nick Bercuda?
Here.
Mark Roden?
Here.
Thank you. We have a quorum. Seeing we do not have a presentation today, I think we're into approval of the minutes from last month.
I have one correction,
Please.
and I don't think this was from somebody that took the minutes because I couldn't remember the name of the movie. I said it's not Oppenheimer, it's the other one. Yeah, and instead of Oppenheimer, it should be The Sound of Freedom. In the minutes.
I saw that. Another minor correction. On page 1, I think it's repeated somewhere else. Brian Kinsey, Public Information Officer for the California Highway Patrol, San Juan Capistrano, the city of San Juan, not Capistrano Beach.
It's Capistrano office.
Right.
Any other additions or corrections?
Can I ask you, that's how you sent it to me? Would you like me to change it to San Juan Capistrano?
No, it's Capistrano office.
So it's correct?
Well, this one has Capistrano Beach. Be absolutely perfect, you know.
That'd be a good CHP posting though at the beach.
Yeah. Any posting at the beach is a good one.
There you go. Any other corrections? All right. Would you like to move
I'll move to approve
with corrections?
with corrections.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we'll move right along to the next item real quick. Oral or written communications. Danielle, anything that comes to mind on this item? Any correspondence or things that came in?
No, we have plenty of stuff for later, but no oral communications that we receive.
We have a guest, Tom. Interested in
I'm Tom Streeter. I'm a retired gentle leisure. I'm here to listen.
Fantastic. And there's a fellow out there with glasses on,
Tom Cruise.
Incognito.
Tom Curtis.
You're listening intently, and maybe on one of your agenda items, I might want to chime in.
Rick Loeffler, the city council, former chair.
Which is much more prestigious than what I'm doing now, trust me.
Okay, let's get into performance measures. We've got the Sheriff's Department performance measures for a third quarter of 2023. Now that's fiscal year, not rather than calendar year. So that caught me off right away. And look at that fiscal year. Yeah.
Yeah, so we have it all in front of you there. Looks like you got calls for service, 1,800 first month, January, February. Looks like that went up a bit in March. Kind of holding steady throughout the quarter on our priority 1 call responses, 28, 31, and 27. Traffic collision reports seem to be holding steady. Looks like there was a little dip in February to 22, back up at 31 in March. And just for awareness, this form was readjusted. It used to be based on the uniform crime reporting, so we had like priority 1, priority 2 calls, or I think just priority 1. So we've changed that now that we're under the NIBRS reporting to group A crime. So you might see a difference or recognize the difference from previous reports.
Now, are the Part 1 crimes basically the same in the Group A crimes?
They are included. NIBRS captures a lot more data and a lot more crimes under the NIBRS reporting. So I think there's a total of like 30-some crimes in the NIBRS reporting. And that's why I think some of our previous reports had it to where the percentages for, like at the bottom, the effectiveness, they were way off skewed just based on, since I think it was mid-year 21, they started reporting NIBRS for our department.
Yeah.
And they just weren't comparative, they weren't showing correctly compared to the Part 1 crimes from the year previous. So I had that adjusted. You look at our use of forces, minimal, 5 in February, but January and March we had 3. Looks like our arrests are pretty consistent, around 80. There was a dip in February there as well, down to 57. Parking enforcement has gone up. And then you see that the Group A crimes somewhat consistent across the quarter. And I'm proud of our response time. It shows March we're at 4:31. I know for this month we're down to like 4:11. So I think it has to do with guys staying in their beats a little bit better. Anyway, you got the numbers there. If you got any questions, you can answer.
Well, I've got one
Sure.
under effectiveness and Group A crimes previous year. Our year to date is 600. Now, it has an asterisk there. It was kind of, can you,
Yeah, the asterisk just denotes there at the bottom that we changed the NIBRS reporting in mid-year 2021. Is that what you're asking?
well, I'm looking at 600 year to date, and third quarter is almost 800. I'm trying to
Oh yeah, I see your point there.
figure that one out.
Yeah, I don't know. You're right, it shows 788 for the quarter. That's a great question.
Maybe you have negative times or something.
It's
Gee. Okay, now,
probably a typo. This information was given to the city, so it was probably just a reporting problem there.
okay, just want to bring it to your attention because it stuck out in my mind.
It's that eagle eye again.
I'll tell you. Go for it.
Yeah, Chief, what on the use of force? How on a scale of 1 to 10, how much force was used? You know?
Since I've been here, I can tell you the use of force is pretty minor.
Yeah.
Typically, the way our policy is anything outside of normal handcuffing. So if you were to make an arrest and somebody resists your efforts and you have to force their hands behind their back, that's a use of force with our department. So a supervisor comes out and does interviews and we review it. It goes to me and I review all the body-worn camera documentation. Then it's overlooked again by a commander that reviews all that and makes a decision whether or not the use of force was in policy or not. So they're typically minor. The most I've seen since I've been here was a punch to the face.
You guys have great restraint. That's awful.
Yeah, and especially nowadays with how professional policing has become and just the demands that everybody's under. We're under a microscope, it's criticized at numerous levels, and the deputies show
It's
a
kind
lot
of
of
why
restraint
I
out
asked the
there.
question. And on number of arrests, what are we seeing as the number one cause of arrest? Or do we
It really
have one? Or
depends.
is it just
Yeah,
all over the
I don't know
board?
that I can answer that
Okay.
truthfully. I mean, it ranges from violent crime, property crimes, drug offenses, warrants.
I just wondered if one was popping up, on a recurring basis, if it's something that we could look at helping you out with, so.
I'd have to look into it, Mike. I wish I had that answer for you.
No problem, no problem. Thanks.
Got it. Any more questions for?
Just out of curiosity, on the use of force, do you guys break them up into levels? Like, just overpowering somebody's resistance, like a 4 to a 1 being an OIS?
No.
It's just all.
Yeah, it's just all encompassed the use of force. I mean, there's different levels of response. For example, the OIS you bring up, our homicide unit, the DA's office would come out and handle that. But use of force administratively, they stick at the city level unless it's an OIS.
Okay, thank you.
Good. Great. Any other questions? Got it. All right, let's go to marine safety. A nice report here.
All right, well, probably one of the slowest quarters for marine safety, January, February, and March. The attendance was way down because of all the rains that we had, for January and February. Activity is low, but I don't know if I need to explain anything. If you guys need to know what a rescue constitutes, I think you know by now, but when a lifeguard actually swims out and physically brings in, they take a buoy and we bring them in. A prevent is anyone where you're making contact verbally and advising them how to get out of danger. So that's what you're seeing here, a number of prevents and actions, warnings that were given, and people through education programs, going out to schools. You'll see those numbers really pop up in April, May, June when we hit all the schools, and visitor hours. And the best thing about this is 0 drownings. So I'm happy to report that.
I have a question on this. In what category do you have the junior lifeguard program listed?
We don't. That's not part of the performance measures.
Because I was trying to figure out where you put it. Public education programs, not quite.
No, the public education programs are like when we go out to school in the spring and hit all the 4th, 5th, and 6th graders. And then also we have a neighborhood beach watch program where we go out, go to community groups, and it's like contract classes on the beach, give presentations for that.
What is the numbers so far of the junior lifeguard that you've pushed through this
The
year?
max we can take is 840. We were a little short staffing, so we had to drop 3 instructors. Didn't have enough to cover operations, so I think we ended up with just below 820.
Yeah, I think you're shorting yourself by not being able to list the junior lifeguard program on your stats here.
Yeah, it's
Because it's well known.
yeah, it's a jewel of the city for the programs for sure.
Absolutely, and I think that might be a positive thing for you, and it adds more numbers on here too, more citizen contacts that way too,
Yeah.
right? So I'm not sure how we can change the stats to add that on there. But anybody in the staff have a suggestion on that?
It's directed by city council, so we don't.
Okay. Well, we can make that recommendation.
He was nice.
I mean, that's what you need is, what are you doing? How successful are you? That's 0.
Yeah, I can tell you that program sells out within under a minute, and I think from experience with your own kids or grandkids, within a minute it's filled up 840 spots, and then within 10 minutes there's 640 people on a wait list.
That's it.
Yeah, and this year we changed, the council changed the registration process, so residents have priority. They have 24 hours to have priority registration.
Great.
Fantastic.
I'll go follow up to what you just said. It was explained to me that was the new, out of towners had to wait 24 hours. Has there been any consideration considering that kids age out age out of it every year, that to give returners like, you know, a 12-hour priority before. Because I figure over time it would be fair because you have people aging out and then coming in.
Yeah, it's been discussed, and it's up to, you know, council if they want to do something like that. There's other programs that do that up and down the coast. It's kind of like the other programs, so, you know, it's like just because Johnny's in flag football, he still has to go through the registration process, and there's still X amount of spots available.
Correct.
For this, I mean, the benefit is that you're reaching out to way more individuals on a yearly basis if the returning ones don't get in. And you see kind of a fallout when they're about 13, 14, unless they're really geared to move into the lifeguard profession as a, you know,
Yeah.
when they're in high school. Our cadet program, lieutenant captain's never been so large as it is now. So that's a plus. I mean, it's a feeding ground for us for recruitment. But that's, you know, that's a council decision to move in that direction.
Something we can discuss with them, because I was thinking about it and I was thinking, you know, what a shame it would be, you know, you're 10, do it at 10, do it at 11, and then just so happens internet goes down on that day you're trying to get in for your third year, and then you kind of miss your third year just because, you know, it's like, I know it runs out, and I think it runs out like, ran out like 90 seconds this year. It was crazy, yeah.
Yeah, we get, you know, successive, you know, filling all the spots comes with a lot of complaints as well. And that's when, you know, a lot of complaints come from. It's like, we want to continue in the process, but it's not under, you know, our direction to do that. It's if council wants to move in that direction, then
Fair enough.
that change.
Good job. Yeah, let's see if, you don't have any problem with us suggesting to the city council to add on the stats, do you?
Do I? No.
Junior lifeguard,
Yeah.
seems appropriate, yeah.
We ought to agendize that. for
Get
next
some
meeting.
credit for it. I mean, you're knocking yourself out and not doing that stuff.
Councilmember Rick attended first session, second session, first day, last day. He even jumped off with the cadets on the last day of the third session. Got a ride on the surf watch. He wants you guys to go next year.
Okay. Darn.
He's mentioned it.
Yeah, yes.
Can I suggest we agendize that for our next meeting?
I think so. Is that a proper thing to have to agendize, or can we go ahead and just make the recommendation to city council?
I think as far as an open meeting goes, that we have to have it on the agenda just in case somebody wants to.
Yeah, I believe you need to
Okay.
agendize
I
it.
just want to get concurrence from the staff.
Can we include in that, if we're gonna add that to the agenda for next week to discuss it, or can we add the limited viability of giving priority to incumbents for the junior guards?
Absolutely.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. My boss told me to come down and talk to him.
Nice to see you, Andy.
Thanks, Peter.
You guys got any questions for the city manager? He's hard to get a hold of. He's slippery.
Talking about slippery, Casaramatica.
Oh, yeah, Kyle's not there. So the Visqueen you saw put up there, that was put up just for the storm. That's not intended to stay. So as soon as we can get it back down, we'll take it down. That was just so we didn't have more slippage. Okay. It was it didn't turn out like it could have, right? It was a pretty minor storm, but we thought we tried to prepare for the worst case scenario. We heard that it could be anywhere from 3 to 10 inches, and it was 1.5 inches or whatever. That's okay. It was good practice, but that's why it's up there. There was no major slippage, but there continues to be a lot of water that's seeping out of Casa Romantica onto the property in the north. So we've got to get that going pretty quick. So,
Thank you, sir.
yeah, so thank you guys.
Busy man.
You guys have a good day.
All right.
So
Can you,
on our agenda for next time, put up both, suggest to the city council that we include the junior lifeguards in the action plan here, and we look at
Potential incumbents having at least an hour
Head
to
start.
priority, yeah.
That's a motion.
Please.
A second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes unanimously. Business for next month. Got it. All right, new business. We asked to agendize consideration for recommendation of the city council for city staff designated coordinator for disaster preparedness
We'll
training.
comment on this
Yeah,
item
yeah.
whenever you want.
Let me introduce this thing. We've been kicking around for a number of years since we lost our full-time disaster preparedness coordinator for the city. And we've been lucky so far, not having a whole bunch of problems going on. We started getting the slippages and all, but we're trying for all sorts of interesting things, and I'm not sure if we're necessarily totally prepared. So I asked to be agendized here, and since last month, we've seen disaster in Maui. Lahaina burned down, and they had a lack of a lot of preparation too, and they had problems with the wind, 80-mile-an-hour wind blowing down. It's a little tough to stop that. But it has some parallels with what we're doing in this city with the Santa Anas that are be coming up and all. We're also looking at the EOC, Emergency Operations Center, being fully equipped and staffed properly and trained. And there has been a movement. We, as a city, hired a consultant to help us do that, and I haven't seen a whole bunch of positive activity. So I'd like to open that up for discussion, if I may. Rick?
Yeah.
You're on.
Thank you, Nick. Yeah, a little history. This was one of the first issues we were supposed to tackle when we started the Public Safety Committee, seems like forever ago. And there wasn't much going on. As Nick said, the coordinator was no longer working with the city. We did hire a consulting firm, Jacob Green, and that contract's going to be terminated. I'm sure they did everything they said they were going to do in the contract, but if you look at the contract, it really is like phone a friend. We didn't really require too much of them, unfortunately. So we're going to be saving that amount of money. And yes, we're looking to hire either full-time or part-time. Hasn't been figured out. It kind of depends on the person who's interested in the job. We have a lot of qualified, well, we have some qualified people that even in this room who would be an awesome EOC coordinator. I'm having a hard time talking that person into taking that job. But if anybody knows anybody who's done public safety, what we need to find is not a consultant that's read books about it. We need somebody that's worked in the fire department or the police department and actually operated EOCs. That's a really narrow scope of expertise, but that's who we need to get in here, and that's what we're looking for. And again, we have some really a qualified person, and I just wish that they would step up, and they just don't want to accept any kind of paycheck from the city. That's a rub on this, and unfortunately, we can't do it on a volunteer basis. So anybody that would accept this position would have to accept some kind of compensation. So keep that in mind when you're talking to people, any possible candidates you might think of. And I think once we do get that person in place, we will see the EOC will be up, ready to go, and operating. We also have, we're seeking the fire department. OCSD is looking for a location for an EOC training facility thing. Shane would probably be able to explain exactly what that is, but they're looking for cities who might want to host that. And I think San Clemente might be in the final short list of those cities. One thing that we have, an advantage of is another city that wants it is looking to sell them some property and charge them a bunch of money for it, and we're looking to give them that property for $1 a year and participate in other ways financially. So Anyway, that's very exciting. If we could get that in, it could be, I think they're offering us maybe some room in there to actually maybe, do an EOC or something. I'm not sure. That's kind of up in the air. But anyway, that's two exciting things. We could hire an EOC coordinator and then get that fire department contract and actually have a facility on city property. That would be awesome. So any support you guys could give when you're talking to anybody or as a committee would be really, really nice. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Councilman Leffler. Now I'm going to also, I've drafted a recommendation to the City Council, and I'd like to see if my peers would be interested in what it says here, and I'll read it to you. The subject is Emergency Operations Coordinator. It says, addressing the need to enhance one of our city's basic core public safety functions, the Public Safety Committee recommends that the position of the Emergency Operations Coordinator be created and funded. Past attempts to deliver the necessary comprehensive emergency planning and coordinating of the local resources have resulted in less than optimal outcome. We recognize that a dedicated member of the city staff is necessary to devote time to planning, organizing, and ongoing coordination of the city's local disaster preparedness programs. And this lists the programs. The basic ones of emergency communications with city residents, businesses, and visitors. We've also included a all-hazard warning outdoor siren. We've seen how that would work with the Lahaina problem. Social media, text writing, broadcast, evacuation plans and mass care centers. There's some need to coordinate with that. Natural and man-made disasters, including tsunamis, wildfires, mudslides, earthquakes, windstorms, nuclear hazards. We still have that potential down in San Onofre. Hazardous material incidents on Interstate 5, don't forget, got a main artery going through it, and all we need a couple of tankers with ethyl methyl bad stuff to collide. We've got a huge problem. We've got our emergency, this person should be able to coordinate with the community emergency response teams, the CERT teams, the amateur radio RACES, coordination with the school district for school day emergencies, development training of the City Emergency Operations Center, including ongoing training and exercises, and compliance with regulatory and funding requirements. That is a bunch, but that's what I'm recommending the city needs. And I'm recommending that we use that as a recommendation to the city council. These guys haven't seen this, so we need to discuss it, if I may.
Yeah, so obviously we would hope for a full-time position, but maybe, sometimes people balk at hiring a full-time employee, but something that kind of crossed my mind that maybe would be more enticing to the city to hire a full-time person to cover this and possibly to act. I believe the city needs a PIO, so maybe as a description of what this job entails, maybe add public information officer abilities to it, because like we have the Casa Romantica thing, we have other things, and sometimes somebody on the city council or the mayor, somebody's just, hey, you need to go talk. Mm-hmm. Well, I think we'd be better served if we had, there's PIO training and stuff like this that I'm sure with the sheriff's office they go to, the fire department they go to, but I believe we would need somebody, we would be best served if we have somebody representing the city in that, and they could be this person and our spokesperson.
So emergency operations coordinator slash
Public information
city
officer.
public information officer.
Yeah.
I think
It's that broadens it nicely, and PIO is always effective, especially for city council and city manager, because they're busy doing the work.
But it's easier to justify the funding too, right? Because it's not just for the police, it's not just for the fire, it's not just for the lifeguard. You know, I mean, we look at it and, you know, take a little bit, you know, not take away, but in the idea that we have money set aside for police, fire, lifeguards, public works. You know, everybody puts a little bit in the pot, and now they have this person that can be front and center and, you know, talking to the news.
Yeah.
I know in my career, I hated talking to the news, and I got stuck doing it a few times. I did not like it. So,
No, you gotta have the right person.
Yeah.
I think that's great, because also, with the emergency operations background, they're gonna know who to really reach out to very quickly if they don't already know the answer, rather than, you know, somebody, a layperson just getting up there and saying, well, we have this problem, blah, blah, blah.
well, and you had already incorporated here the social media, the text warnings, the broadcast warnings. That, you know, that a lot of times encompasses a PIO's job too, like
Yeah.
Twitter or X or whatever it's called now. You know.
Yeah.
Well,
The PIO has to know all the social media, and
what's really nice about that, we've seen, especially this last weekend, with the press beating down this huge storm that's coming on. You gotta prepare. And you see you know, if you go to these stores on Saturday, they're getting wiped out of stuff. People are getting panicky. And that shows you the power of the press and the social media. They can twist this stuff all around, and it's whatever is the hot thing that particular day to sell their services. They're gonna push it, and so
It's interesting that you bring that up because like Friday and Saturday, all over Facebook. Where do I get sandbags? Where do I get sandbags? Yesterday, hey, what do I do with these sandbags now? How do I get rid of them? You know, so it's just, you know, every little bit helps, right?
that's right. But valid point.
and maybe take it a little bit farther and see.
Turn my
I'm sorry. Take it a little bit farther and have them develop an app for San Clemente. Like, you know, you got Shakeout LA, or, you know, I mean, I still have that from when I lived up there, and I got the earthquake warnings on my phone. And if we had a San Clemente app that that person or whoever they designated could get onto, and, you know, like, accident on 5, you know, can be shut down for a while, you avoid it, you know. Anything to get messages out to our neighbors here.
I agree.
Good stuff. Anyway, so we can, you know, if you're good in that format, and with the addition to the public information officer, which is a great idea, I think we can make a recommendation, a valid recommendation to the city council. Mr. Tom, please.
Mr. Chairman, I like your idea of being prepared for the inevitable tanker truck disaster on the 5. We're going to have tank car disasters on the railroad too, and so you might want to consider adding that in. I got 4 grandkids in Ohio. I worry about them.
Rightly
Good
so.
thing, Tom.
Yep. We have potential all over, but, you know, we have to be ready to do something. The other thing that the newspapers are pointing out, I pulled this from the OC Register for yesterday. It says Mother Nature doesn't care much about weather history or what the computer models might tell us, because Mother Nature will do what it wants to do. So we need to diligently, as they say, prepare for multi-hazard things. We've seen what we've done in the past, but with climate change and all, it's a new game sometimes.
Has the city ever had anybody in this position?
Yes.
Okay. And when did that stop?
I think it was 2017. He took a similar position in the city of Tustin.
And we just We never filled it,
Never
so
filled it.
it's still on the books, it's just not funded.
Well, I don't know if it's still in the books, it's just, it's never been filled, it was filled with a consultant, push on that, so I don't know if that item has been authorized, but
And
it's certainly.
I mean, when the guy left for Tustin, they made the public works director, that was his job.
Mm.
And unfortunately, that doesn't always relate. So we dropped the ball. We hired the consultant at $160,000 a year. So the funding really won't be much of a problem. We'd expected to keep that consultant on and on and on. So I think we got the money. I think the PIO idea is a great idea. Not only does it justify that, but we actually need that. And it should be somebody with a really commanding, good voice that sounds good on, I think that's something else should be in the qualifications also.
Is it a PERS position?
It probably, if it was a full-time position, it probably would be PERS. Part-time position, of course, we could always use an annuitant, even if they were under PERS now, we could, do something under annuitant. So I think all options are open for the right person. I think that's something we can make work.
Definitely, if you're 37 at retirement, you could definitely slide in there, and we even work full-time for PERS.
Yeah, absolutely. That's true.
Interesting. All right, so what's the next step here? We got Danielle. What do you think?
Next step,
We need to do the formal recommendation to
the staff report.
Okay.
You want this letter included in the staff report?
Yeah, but I also have to include the PIO thing.
Yeah. Can I recommend that Nick has a moment to, or whatever, rewrite it, including more information, and get it to you and get it prepared.
Most definitely.
Yeah, that'll work out good. And we can move it along because we don't need to have it come back next month and all that. Just need to.
Well, we got it on the agenda. Let's go.
Yeah, and you got to strike while the fire's hot. And because once we go back to complacency, there's other things that take precedence. Right now, with all these disasters going on, that's the time.
Yeah, I think,
Past time.
They always say, until it's right for everyone, nobody wants to do anything. And given everything that's been going on in Hawaii and then a few years ago here in California, I think it's right. I think we'd be remiss if we didn't push it forward.
That's our job, is to make recommendations to city council. And, all right. Do we need to vote or do anything other than the staff report?
I
Authorize the staff to formalize the recommendation.
I'll make
Yeah.
a motion.
Formalize staff to write an agenda report for council.
Gotcha.
I'll make that motion and to include a rewrite on that from you to the staff.
Right.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
That passes real good. Thank you. All right, now we're into any other new business. Nothing's been agendized, so. Public safety annual work plan, okay, now we're into, we've got 3 people, we barely have a quorum, so we're moving right along here. And so a lot of this, our committee work, this stuff will not be, for this here. Communications disaster preparedness project update. Well, the update is that we're pushing ahead with this recommendation to the city council. Hopefully that we can then get going on a real disaster preparedness program. Of course, it's contingent upon hiring the right person too, so let's go out and look for all homeless and best practices, best management practices for public safety personnel project update. Who's got that? Let's see. Okay, that's Scott. Wait a minute. No, that's, you kept on that one at all?
Yeah, that's the one that's the homeless one, right?
Right.
It's me and, I don't think it's just me.
Yeah, I think it's just you right now.
Well, I have nothing for that then.
Okay.
Actually, so there's something I want to agendize for the next meeting that's associated with that. So I guess now would be a good time.
Yep.
I'd like to put on the agenda for next month to discuss the viability of leasing the unincorporated area of San Diego County located at the southernmost portion of South El Camino Real from the San Diego County line to the termination of the roadway at Cristianitos Road, where they're
Great idea.
so I'd like that for next month.
I'll second that.
You lost me on that one.
So, obviously, we can't get too deep in it. I want to consider the viability of leasing it from the county, which the government codes allows for up to 55 years. You can lease property from another county because the homeless moving down there, whether it's our jurisdiction or not, it's going to be our problem to deal with. You know, they don't just miraculously just stop at the county line. So, in order to be able to take more proactive action, I mean, they've done a real good job in North Beach. You know, that's kind of shifted over there, and that's not where we want them because all the negative, we're going to get all the negative and not be able to do anything with
I
it.
think it's a brilliant idea.
So,
Chief, what do you think of that?
Sounds like a possibility, if we can make it work. Great. Just a little insight. We did have communication with San Diego County, and they were up last week. Their sheriffs came up with their outreach people, registered nurses, social workers, and did their best at offering services and kind of cleaning that up. And then the storm helped quite a bit with that as well. So I'm being told there's one tent currently there.
there were three right before the storm, and I went by yesterday. There was one, and it looks like one guy's collapsed, and maybe he just left it there and moved on.
Yeah,
I just worry that it's. I don't think it's gonna be a problem that just disappears.
Yeah, it is definitely a jurisdictional
Nightmare.
quandary. Yeah.
So you're looking at that little bitty pocket.
Well, correct. Well, that's one of the things I want to discuss. We wouldn't have to annex the road for a couple reasons. One, let the accidents and the vehicle thefts and the vehicle break-ins remain in the jurisdiction of San Diego County. But basically, from the raised curb to the Caltrans fences, why not? I mean, we got to give them $1 a year or whatever for 55 years.
Actually, he should pay us to take it because it takes the burden off of them shuffling 20 people up here.
It does, but I think.
I'm just saying, they should be real happy with $1 a year.
Interesting.
So yeah, so let's put that, to discuss.
okay.
Great idea. Is that a motion?
I make the motion.
Second?
Big long version.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Ladies, did you get that?
Well, hopefully our court reporter, the gal that does our minutes, maybe now that you can you say it one more time
Yeah.
just so she can capture it?
Okay, so I'd like to discuss the viability of leasing the unincorporated area of San Diego County located at the southernmost portion of South El Camino Real from the San Diego County line to the termination of the roadway at Cristianitos Road.
From the curb?
Yeah, yeah, that's enough for now. Because they might say take it all or nothing. Take the road too.
Either
Well,
that,
just to make it clear to what we were asking for.
yeah, either that or just.
So then nobody comes back and says, well, no, you took the road too.
Yeah, I mean, I think we can work that out. Who's on that? Who's on traffic safety?
Traffic is,
Me. I am on that. Okay, good.
you got it.
All right. Well, when we get to that, I have another agenda item to add for next month.
All right, now Neighborhood Watch is the next one. Mike, do you have anything?
Ryan's doing really well. I would suggest that that we get some volunteers from the city or from the Neighborhood Watch program and we don't dump it all on Ryan. But at Fiesta, we should have a neighborhood watch booth out there. And we had everybody in San Clemente there. And if they knew they had an opportunity for neighborhood watch and got a flyer, we probably would have gotten a whole lot of interest from people.
Recruitment.
Yeah. And anything we do that's bringing people, we should have a booth there for neighborhood watch.
They could actually do that Sundays on Delmore.
At the farmer's market.
Yeah, at the farmer's market.
Because the Historical Society
Great idea.
does their thing too.
Yeah.
And we need the outreach that way. Yeah, absolutely.
So
Check into that.
maybe I can get with Ryan and maybe we can get 5 or 10 block captains that want to break it up and work 2 of them each weekend for the month
Yeah.
and trade off.
Yeah, 'cause,
So that'd be more than glad to be out there. So
it may prove to be successful right now, especially with all these disasters hitting elsewhere. We wanted to hit here too.
Yeah.
So. Good. Okay, technology review. Scott and I, let's see, you and I had that one.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, we skipped 7 though.
Yeah.
We can talk about technology review.
Okay.
Yeah, we had a meeting with what's the company called?
It was the drone.
Yeah, so basically it acts as an air traffic control, if you will, for drones. And the idea behind it, especially for fire, police, and lifeguard, would be really good. It seemed like there was too many questions that went unanswered when Nick and I were speaking with them. It seems like a fledgling company. The technology is there. Basically, long story short, the way it works is we could set up parameters, and if something is launched in the city of San Clemente, we get it, not drone, or whatever they call it, with serial number such and such registered to Joe Smith, residing at 123 First Street, is flying this drone here. In a perfect world, in a perfect scenario, it's good technology. There's just too many question marks right now. There's nothing to combat the idea of somebody flying a stolen drone that's not registered, or one that's never been registered.
right.
And then they have not deployed in a city on the West Coast. Comically enough, we asked them for the closest jurisdiction to us that had it, and he said Arkansas. So not very close at all. I think Nick and I don't want to speak for Nick, but I think we're of the mindset that if something like this, I don't think we would, at the way it's described and the way it exists today, we'd want to be consumers of it, but we'd possibly be willing to be guinea pigs of it, so we can see how it works. But I mean, at this time, the way it is, it doesn't look like it's a viable thing for the city to spend money on.
Yeah, they're the concern. What's the problem they're trying to solve?
Correct.
With this format, this platform. Well, they're looking at like Amazon's threatening to make deliveries with drones. You've got
UPS.
yeah, and you've got disasters where people are flying their drones. We've got the fire department who's trying to fight fire with aerial assault, and they won't fly when there's a drone out there, right?
That's right.
And how do you chase them away? Well, so taking control of the situational awareness, as it were.
Correct. Yeah.
And it's an interesting concept. It just isn't ready for prime time.
Correct. Yeah. It's definitely. It seems like it's part of a solution to a problem not everybody recognizes yet. And like we had brought up with him, I think there's also an issue more domestically for us is, peeping and prowling with drones, right?
Right. Because people, these little buzz bombs going in, looking into houses and things. You've also got possibility of burglars casing places with drones. The possibilities are endless, and that's what this guy's trying to sell as service is what can you use a drone for? Oh, gee, you can use it for all sorts of stuff. But what's the problem we're trying to solve with his platform?
Yeah, I don't think we're there yet.
No. Anyway, that's we're working on that technology thing.
Nick,
Yep.
I think these guys kind of missed the mark when they were saying, we can tell you what the serial number is, who owns it. Why don't they just figure out how to see the drone and be able to target where the operator is? Because there's a direct radio.
So they do have that. So yeah, that is something. They can tell like what directions, coordinates. They got coordinates from the control.
Because if there's one flying in a fire,
Yeah.
we can find the guy that's flying it within 10 minutes and get it out of the air. I mean, to me, that would be a much better platform to use.
Yeah, and unfortunately, when we were having this meeting with this gentleman, he wasn't quite able to answer a lot of these questions for us. So.
And the other one is the add-ons like radar. So you see three-dimensionally, altitude, distance, and all that. And those are all add-ons, as it were. So.
And he wasn't quite sure of the ability with our topography, like where you would have, radar.
It's the same thing with communications. You get the peer bowl, unless you've got a wonderful line of sight, you won't be able to get to it. So
I think definitely, I wouldn't say we'll put a pin in that, and then who knows? He might shop us all and come back in a year with a new presentation. It's like, it might be something we can't live without, and because what we don't know is, as the technology advances on the consumer side too, right?
Right.
I know now they make drones that you can fly inside homes that are designed to stay 10 to 12 inches from walls. So you could, that could be an issue down the road, right? So.
And they do drones and dropping drugs inside prison.
Yeah, that was.
Fortunately, we don't have a prison here just yet. Okay. Let me go to human trafficking. Let's see, anything with that?
No updates, but going back to the homeless, there's a very large building in Aliso Viejo, very strange looking building, and I think it's called the Chet Holyfield Federal Building, and someone says it's vacant.
Yeah, it's being sold.
Okay. Well, don't give anybody in Aliso Viejo my name or address, okay? But that would be a tremendous building to locate the homeless shelter that we need for all of Southern Orange County, and have a place that these people could all go. It's a federal building, all right? We don't have to, what senator is going to say, no, we don't want to house the homeless and still keep their job? Get that and get that funded. And so when you guys pick up a homeless person, there's somewhere to take them. And they can't say, no, I can stay here because there's no place for me. And they could bring in mental health counseling and other things. Just a thought.
Did you want to agendize that for a
As long as nobody in Aliso Viejo knows who I am.
That's not.
I don't want to look under my car every day.
Yeah, it's a little out of our scope. Yeah.
Well, no, but it isn't out of our scope because we need someplace to put our homeless people.
Yeah.
And they're always saying, oh, there's just no place in Southern Orange County that we could put them. Well, maybe there is.
That might be something more along the lines of like, as a working group with our homeless people and maybe some others, from the county level, right? Because this is always being discussed at the county level. Are we going to have a big one? Are we going to have a couple of small ones? Is every good city going to have their own?
And where are we going to put it? How are we going to fund it? It's there.
It's funny because I drove by that a few weeks ago and I thought, Man, that would make a really nice jail right there. So, I mean, it's not quite a jail, but,
Well, we've never like that as jail. It's a
pyramid.
lovely place to stay.
Lovely place to be from.
good shopping. There's a shopping a block away, right?
My
Okay.
girlfriend works in Whole Foods, so I told her it was my idea. Right across the
Got it.
So,
Nice thought
so
here.
traffic safety.
Yeah, traffic.
So-
E-bikes and traffic safety.
So this is not e-bike related for a change. I know that's a sticky issue with us, but I would like to agendize for next month the viability of adjusting the timing of the traffic light at. I'll say it slow because it's got directions like that. On westbound Pico, at the southbound on and off ramps
Of the,
of Pico.
of 5.
No, of Pico. So your westbound Pico. So basically, when you're westbound Pico underneath the freeway,
Okay.
that light turns red while the light behind it is still green.
Yeah. The backs are good.
And you have it. It actually needs to be the opposite. So the light on. So if you're going westbound, the light on the east side of the freeway needs to turn red before the one on the west side of the freeway, where people are either going straight or on the freeway. And I've only lived here 2 years, and I can't tell you how many times I've been like stuck there going, how is this even a thing? So yeah, I'd like to, it's the exact reverse of how it should be. The light next to the gas station should turn red. Then the light underneath the freeway should turn red. Obviously, we're gonna have to discuss it with Caltrans, but I wanna get that on the agenda for
I think
next
that's a
month.
great idea because so many people get stacked up because they don't want to wait. And then the folks coming northbound on the freeway, getting off at Pico, can't make a left-hand turn and go under the bridge.
And neither can the people that are trying to get on northbound. I actually
Right,
saw
exactly.
a road rage incident where this guy in a big truck gets out and starts screaming at this lady in her minivan. I'm like, dude, she had a green light. She didn't know everybody was going to stop at the next. It's backwards. It needs to be reversed.
Good call.
That's it. So
You want to do
I
that?
make a motion to agendize that for next month.
Second?
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
All right.
Aye.
We'll have to, I don't know, we'll ask our chief of police for his thoughts on that too. You know. That's a traffic enforcement that the city does that. Is that Caltrans property or is that city property underneath it?
Pico should be city property.
Well, it's city property, but anytime because those lights are tied into the on-ramp, off-ramp. So Caltrans and the Highway Patrol would have to be in the discussion. But that's the crazy part is you could have a fresh green and go, and then by the time because you have a car in front of you, say you're the second car back, right, and you have a fresh green, you can't see, like you're in a little sports car and you're behind a big SUV, and the guy in the SUV starts to go, so you're in the little car and you start to go, and then all of a sudden you can't go anymore, you're in the middle of the intersection because what you couldn't see was in front of that SUV, there was nowhere for the SUV to go. Now, if you're at the limit line and you can see, hey, there's nowhere where I'm supposed to go, and you put yourself in that intersection, well then, that's your bad, right? You made it.
Shame
But
on you.
when you're just going and you get stuck in the middle of the intersection, and that's what I saw the other day, and I was like, I felt for the lady. This guy's screaming at her, and it's like, I knew why she did it. I was just like, I feel like this timing needs to be switched.
Great idea.
Traffic engineer. Yeah, let's discuss that. I'll be able to get somebody over here to explain that.
Yeah.
Especially if it's city signals. I don't know if it's city signals or Caltrans signals.
It's city, but Caltrans has the authority about how those signals work because it affects the on-ramps and off-ramps.
There's actually, I think it's actually stipulated in the vehicle code or anything within X yards of a state highway or Caltrans jurisdiction, we have to deal with that.
Yeah, what I'm asking is whose jurisdiction it is, so we invite the right people rather than, we got the wrong people, it should have been the other guys.
Well, it's definitely city, so city engineer and Caltrans, I would
You
say.
check with Zach, he'll know.
Okay.
Check with him, have staff check with him, and he'll come or he'll tell you who the right people are.
So,
And you can always send an email too. And because this is part of your work plan, you would only really have to like make a motion or agendize if you wanted them to attend the meeting and, talk about, more from their perspective or get additional support for the conversation.
Well, I don't think can we start it with bring it to the correct person's attention in the city, and then if they hit a roadblock, we can't just do that. We have to do X, Y, and Z first, and then we can discuss it. Because it might be simple as
Right.
two people with common sense talking to each other and going, oh yeah, we should probably change the timing on that, and then we can be done with it.
Rick brought up Zach.
Ponce
He
is
works here.
Yeah, he works with Dr. Kim, they're the traffic guru.
Okay, so could we just make a motion to reach out to Zach, have him contact CHP and Highway and Caltrans, and come back to us next meeting, tell us who's responsible for the lights, and if in fact you can talk to him and get it solved before we even go, have the next meeting, it would be great.
That is a better motion. I second that.
So you amended the original one?
Yes.
Yeah. Danielle, you got that?
Yep.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Right, let's do it. Okay, solve the problems of the world down there, that's for sure. Okay, review of urgent matters, nothing other than our, looking for a emergency planner thing. Okay. Moving right along to police services, any reports from Jay? Do you have anything you'd like to add on to your?
I don't have much report. I just like to comment that while we're waiting to get deputies out and trained to fill new positions, we have staffed our downtown beach district with 2 deputies, so full-time between the hours of noon and midnight 30. And they have the flexibility of using the police car, ATVs on the beach, bike patrol, and foot patrols. And just like to report that both deputies that we have doing it love this new gig. They're getting positive feedback from shop owners and residents and visitors that are down there. And so far it's been great, so I just want to report that.
Perfect.
Hey, also, Captain, apparently you have some footbeat activity on Del Mar. I've heard from some business owners that guys have been walking Del Mar a little bit and sticking their heads in, and that's...
Yeah, they sent 2 deputies, if I failed to mention it. Yeah, they're also on foot, walking up and down Del Mar. And doing exactly that, talking to shop owners and visitors and guests.
Are they the ones on the e-bikes on the trail?
Well, we've had multiple deployments. We've had also our SRO, while school was not in service, has our e-bike, and we'll sometimes take one of our motors to go on the bike. They've done some enforcement on the bike trails.
Good.
So we've had a lot of activity down there.
So what they want to do is shut down the illegal stuff, right?
Yeah, and it's good for the presence and community policing, and just showing people that there's uniformed personnel down there, not just enforcing but also educating and being an ambassador to the city.
I'm sure the businesses loved it.
That's what I'm hearing,
Yeah.
and that's great.
It's important.
Anything we do to better engage the folks that are down there, better it is for the city. Sure.
Yeah,
Good deal.
absolutely. Okay, fire services, Shane.
All right. Thank you. Let's see. For LCFA, just for specifically the city of San Clemente, this month alone, we've already had 385 calls for service, so it's been pretty busy. Mostly medical aids, few little fires, but nothing of any real substance, which is very good. There have been a couple little brush fires that have started off in Camp Pendleton. So I know the city's had some smoke in the city from those, so we respond down there, and fortunately none of them have gotten close. We do have resources deployed in Maui. Some of our use our assets with the cadaver dogs, and as well as some chief officers over there assisting with their incident management teams in the efforts to try and find people and help them work through the Lahaina disaster. So They're working over there. The Hurricane Hillary, we staffed up pretty heavily, getting ready for that. It was really great working with Captain Christian and a lot, and the city staff as far as being ready for that coming in. San Clemente did have the highest winds in the whole county once that thing went through, so it was windy, but I was glad that nothing really tragic happened here. But we staffed up an incident management team. We actually still have it all staffed today. This is probably the last day. Swiftwater teams, strike teams, dozers. Our dozers went and did a bunch of work in Capitol Beach, just outside of San Clemente, clearing the storm drains down the beach. So those actually were able to flood out, which was good. Just getting ready for fire season. We have our 2 new helicopters coming in probably in the next 3 to 4 months, which will be really, really good for us. Increases our safety, which is huge, especially after seeing our brothers in Cal Fire pass away from the helicopter crash, and then our capabilities. It multiplies our water drops by over 300%, so it's going to be a really great thing when we get those. And with that, the County Board of Supervisors purchased 2 of these things called helipods for us, which are basically fire hydrants for helicopters, and we're trying to find locations throughout the county strategically to put those where we don't have good water sources to draw from when we have a vegetation fire. So one's going out off Ortega, which is a really, really big one we need. And the second one, we're looking at a few different locations for that. And then as you speak about the drone stuff, just for awareness, the FBI does have a counter drone program that we utilize on fire. So if we have a fire and we have a fire traffic area set up where planes and helicopters can't fly in unless you're part of the fire, they'll set up that area where drones aren't supposed to be in the air either. So the FBI coordinates people to come down. They have drone detection systems probably similar to what you have, and they can locate who's flying the drone, where exactly that person's sitting with is remote control, because typically it's just people without any kind of malintent. They're just wanting to see the cool stuff. And so then they'll coordinate with deputy to send them to the house and ask the person to ground the drone, which is good. Because I've been on a couple of fires where we've had close calls with drones and helicopters, and they're definitely a danger out there. So there is something in place for that during the fire piece. Yeah, that's really all I have from OCFA for now.
Great.
2 questions. Where is the current place to fill up one with the helicopter? Where do you get the closest
They use any water source that they can find that's safe for them to dip out of. So right now, if there were a fire in San Clemente, most of the time they're dipping out of Bella Colina Golf Course, the pond there. It's actually pretty good, especially they cleared all the brush that was around it. That used to be a little bit of a concern. So they're dipping out of there. There's also, if you don't know, right, literally just behind Talega, there's that new reservoir out there, the Trampus Reservoir. So we'll send our big helicopters there, small helicopters over here to this one. Other than, besides those 2 spots here in San Clemente, there's not great water. So my goal is to try and find a spot to put that helipod. There's some logistical stuff as far as getting it in what it needs. I'd like to get it down this way if I can. So I'm working on that for sure to get some more water sources down here so that it's all about turnaround with helicopters, as you guys probably know. So the sooner they can get to water and get back on the fire, the quicker they're able to hold those fires small. So.
And then, thank you. My other question was, over this weekend with the storm and all that, did you guys have any hurricane-related rescues that you guys had to do?
No, believe it or not. It was very benign as far as everything goes. There was a lot of downed trees and things like that, but nothing caused anything major. We did have one body in a storm drain in San Juan Capistrano, but it looked like that person had passed for a little bit of time before. It didn't appear to be a storm-related issue, but it did happen right in the midst of the storm, so we had to call out our technical rescue people for the body recovery out of the storm drain. But no, it was pretty. I think we got lucky. It's good.
Nice. Thank you. Mr. Watt. What's going on at the beach?
A lot of stuff going on. You can see here, so since our last meeting, July 25th, we typically staff 31 lifeguards During the weekdays, we're down since the school went back, Alberta Unified School District, and even the Satellite Unified School District, they went back to the 15th, so we're down to 10 lifeguards a day. Definitely our customers' base is down, but weekends we're full staffing. No shortage of rescues. Since our last meeting, there's been 469 swimmers in distress that were rescued. 97% of those were rescued from roach currents. Over 7,000 prevents, just about 7,000 public eds, 241 medical aid patients, 14 were stingrays. We've had 44 for the year, over 4,000 enforcement contacts, and since our last meeting, 384,000 visitors. We had 7 missing person reports. 2 of those were water related. Everybody was reunited. Only 1 call involved the sheriffs to come down and assist with that. We've seen temperatures from the water since July 25th up to 76 and down to 62 just a few days ago. So it's been kind of all over the map. Surf's been pretty minimal all summer long. But we do, we're going to finish off the summer season with Labor Day, and there's 4 to 6 foot surf expected for the 3-day weekend, so things will get interesting for that. We did run a recruitment for 3 new supervisors. They've been selected, they're in place now. In the process of working with HR with recruiting for a marine safety officer. Hopefully that'll go out in a couple weeks. And finalized a 3-year partnership with Untitled. It's a local company here for uniforms. They are providing a hoodie, short sleeve, long sleeve, and sweatpants for all of the staffing for 3 years. And also, they just opened a storefront at the top of Victoria and El Camino Real, and the white building on the corner there. It's called the Natick, and for every $1 or for every sale, they're going to donate $1 back to the junior lifeguard program. So, and also the lifeguards. Outside that, we've had 3 beach concerts since the last time we met, and the last one was last Thursday, Tunnel Vision, which brings the biggest crowds. We've had a surf contest on the 4th and 5th of August at the pier. We had the Red Bull foam wreckers at T Street last Saturday. We've had 3 commercial film permits, also 3 beach cleanups. WSL set up on the pier with the pillars. Goes up on August 30th. WSL press conference will be on the pier. September 6th, had the first bowl out on the pier. So you'll have the 5 men competing and the 5 females competing out there. I'm sure we'll have Mr. Rick out there and the rest of the council members. That'll be the press release. That'll start at 10:30. It's over at 11:15. And just as Chief Mall was stating, Hillary, even though it didn't come up as what it was supposed to, or some of the media was coming about, I felt like we were well prepared, communicating amongst all the public safety and the city management and that. So we went the opposite direction. Instead of ramping up our staffing, we normally have 31, we dropped it down to 10. So we go the opposite direction when the weather's poor. The last thing I have is the sand replenishment project, which is slotted to start in November. So that'll be, we're welcoming the new sand. That's what I gotta say. So that's it for me, unless you have any questions.
Who does your press releases?
Press releases?
Yeah, you mentioned you doing a press release of one of your programs. I mean, who writes them for you?
I said we were doing a press release. I don't recall saying a press release.
All right.
But
if you did,
if we did, so it's kind of ironic you're asking for a PIO. The city used to have a PIO.
Really?
Yeah, it used to be Laura Ferguson.
Oh.
Yeah, when she worked for the city. Yeah,
She doesn't work here anymore.
But so we do put press releases out. It'll be from me, and then it goes through the city management to make sure the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed, and make sure, and then the city manager will put it out, and it'll say from Marine Safety
Got it. Yeah, that was my thing, is you kind of tied the PIO to helping out, at least.
I don't know if you want my voice on that.
Why? It's a voice of authority.
You have a face for radio, Brian.
That was cold.
Hey, by the way, if Rob Millot ever offers you a boat ride, I suggest you think twice about it. I took him up on his offer and he ended up dumping me out a half a mile off the coast, out by Seal Rock. And I just want to say I didn't know that was part of the tour, but just you think twice about this guy when he offers you something like that.
I didn't know we had a boat.
Oh no, he brought the state parks boat down to make this special drop.
Oh, it sounds like a conspiracy going on here.
That might have been one of those things where he was telling you something without using words.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to fix him though. I survived. I got back.
Bummer.
Bummer.
Bummer. He survived. Alive. All right, I'm going to save my comments for the end. Committee members, Mike, everything?
Nothing.
Mark?
Oh, but I will tell you, you guys came up with some excellent ideas tonight.
Thank you.
That means you're on the hot seat for next month with 4 ideas.
Why is that clean all yours up?
That's true. You did clear one.
Well, I'm
So
sorry
you're
that
back on the hot seat.
Scott Rover was not here. He got sent out on his regular day job, deployment of Tahoe. Apparently they're having a lot of lightning strikes or preparing for, and Northern California gets the wildfires first, and then they all come down here and help us with our Santas. So that's why we're a little short here. We're also recruiting for the 5th member, and I'm not sure when that closes, but
It's closed.
it's closed.
There's I think interviews are possibly going to be on the 5th of September. We have two candidates that applied. So I think we're close to
Good.
filling up the committee there.
Yeah, we need the help there. Okay, and I want to thank,
Let's see.
I want to thank all you guys for being here, keeping the city safe and sound and together. Okay, you guys are a terrific job. It shows. We haven't had a disaster yet that you haven't met, So thank you very much. Now, city staff,
Okay,
please.
I have a few things. So the first one is that the work plan for the 23-24 fiscal year is due to City Council in October. So to expedite this process, this will need to be agendized and to discuss and draft on our meeting in September. So part of that will be that Natanya can send you the current work plan as well as a blank form template in Word for you guys to start kind of brainstorming, looking over your current work plan, saying, hey, is this something we want to roll over to this next fiscal year, or even some of these ideas that have been brought up today, maybe incorporating those in some of the work plans. So we'll email you guys the format, the current work plan, and if you can look at that, so at the next meeting, we can discuss it and I can take notes and we can formalize the plan.
Got it.
So we'll be getting to like a static PDF of what it currently is, and then a Word that we can do track changes with each other.
Exactly,
Okay.
yeah. So we'll get that to you sometime this week.
Yeah, what's happened in the past and changes is sometimes we need a budget for things or whatever that we can justify in little minor tweaks in a lot of these things, but it might be a new project you want to do or whatever. So this is our opportunity to review.
And then on the August 15th City Council meeting, Councilmember Enmeyer, with the support of council, directed the Public Safety Committee to investigate the city's siren public safety notification system for emergencies. So something to discuss for next meeting. I know that ties into the topic and the information that you presented here, but I need to present all this to you guys as well.
Absolutely.
Additionally, on the agenda item for the meeting on the 15th was the Public Safety Committee review of Park Ranger program enhancements, and I had an update for that. So tomorrow we have the final interview for the Park Ranger supervisor position, which we're really excited about. So tomorrow we should have our candidate so that we can really start our program and bring that to you guys with, hey, this is what we have, this is what we think might work, and get your recommendations. Right now, since we don't have the supervisor nor the 2 full-timers, but tomorrow I will have my supervisor, and I'm pretty excited about the candidates. The application closing period for the full-time rangers ended last Thursday or Friday. So we'll start those interviews as well. But I wanted to get the supervisor hired on so that they could have, input in the hiring of the 2 full-time rangers as well. I just think, the rangers will be reporting to that supervisor and to me to make sure it's a good fit personality wise. So we're looking to come back to the committee, I'm hoping in October, with information for you guys to review to provide your suggestions. We'd also like you to come in, see our workspace, go out in the field if you have time available, do some ride-alongs, kind of get to know us better as a team, and look at our technology, look what we have to work with, and your recommendations would be fantastic.
How many people made it to the interview portion?
Well, so for the park rangers, I haven't been given a final count. So how it typically goes is HR goes through their screening process, and then they'll tell me the candidates that, are viable potentially. I'll review it, and then we'll come up with a list for interviews. So for the supervisor, there were 15 interviews, which was a long day for the panel, because we pull from other agencies around. It's a peer interview, that first one, and the second one is with management. So 15 made it to, I don't know what the total number of applicants that applied were, though.
But where are we at? Where are we at now? You said how
Oh,
many
for
candidates?
the supervisor?
We're down to how many?
We're down to 4.
4, okay.
Yeah, thank goodness. But they sound like they're all highly qualified. Some have previous law enforcement experience and look like some good backgrounds in public safety and leadership. So, yeah, it looks pretty good.
Right.
Okay, now, just to add on to that, the park ranger program that we're supposed to be, the city council wants us to look at, is not only personnel, but resources to go along with it.
Resources, yes.
Like
Technology, safety, communications.
size of the room big enough,
Exactly.
that type of stuff, computers, stuff, right?
Every single aspect, from technology to office space to vehicles to protocol, all your experience, because this is a new program that's kind of it's an old program that's being revitalized because there was only part-timers in the past, and the program couldn't really get up off the ground because there wasn't the PC 832 training. So currently we've been operating more like monitors because of that enforcement piece not being there. And so now we're wanting to really enhance the program because we will have that PC 832 for our full-time rangers, and then also look into possibly training our part-time rangers if, you know, you guys think that's a good recommendation, putting them through the PC 832.
Will the full-timers be armed?
No.
No.
Yeah, Nick, I think Danielle put it perfectly, is maybe look at best practices for a model and less of a polo shirt thing and more of an actual unit, a park ranger unit, like a lot of cities have, or, you know, state has that works there. So maybe look at best practices and try to design a model that you think would be the most effective.
Yeah, because, you know, LA City's got their own park ranger program that are not armed. And they got a huge program going on.
And then the other item was that council adopted resolution 23-88 relating to the compensation of members on a couple different committees, but especially this committee, the Public Safety Committee. And you all will receive $55 per meeting, which that's gas money. You know, I think that's really kind and nice that they did that.
Thank you, Rick.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah.
But no back pay, Nick.
It's not retroactive.
Sorry.
And when does this start? It's a
Yeah,
killer.
because it's you have to pay tax on something.
Yeah,
you
30
sort of
days
pay.
from,
It's ridiculous.
okay.
Should make it 45 and then we don't hit the $600 limit.
You can donate it. Yeah.
And that's all I have.
All right. See, there's no other information. Everybody wants to get back to work or whatever.
Hey, Nick, you want to ask this one gentleman if he wants to say anything?
Okay. The next regular meeting of the Public Safety Committee is scheduled to take place on Tuesday. No, that's not it. I'm sorry. Got the old agenda list. Got the wrong month here. All right. Scheduled to take place on Tuesday, September 26th, 2023 at 3 p.m. City Hall Council Chambers, and that'll be our next meeting. Regularly scheduled, unless there was something else. All in favor? Aye.
Move to adjourn.
Move to